Hello and welcome everyone, this is Minu at AngloLink. Today we're going to look at two modal verbs and a semi-modal verb that are often confused with each other. These are should, must and have to. We'll have a brief look at their formulation and then we'll look at their usage and differences. And we'll finish this lesson with a gap-filling exercise. By the end of this video, you should have a good idea of the differences between these three verbs. Today's prize draw is a free Premium Plus membership to our website. This level of membership gives you access to all the online exercises, plus the recording of these so you can practice your pronunciation and fluency as well. To enter the prize draw, all you need to do is to make a comment in the section below. So when you're ready, we can begin our lesson on should, must and have to.
Modal verbs should, must and have to. Let's look at formulation first. Should and must are real modal verbs, and therefore, like all modal verbs, they're always followed by the infinitive without to, should do, must do, and they're the same for all the pronouns. I should, he should, it should, etc. Also, they do not need auxiliaries, they take direct negative and question forms. I shouldn't, we mustn't. Should I, must we? And finally, they never combine with another modal verb. You can't say you should can, you have to replace can with an alternative. You should be able to. Or, instead of he will must, you'll have to say, he will have to. Have to is a semi-modal verb. It is like a modal verb because it fulfills a specific function, but it behaves like an ordinary verb in its formulation. It is followed by the infinitive without to, have to do, but it is conjugated according to pronouns. I have to, he has to, etc. It needs auxiliaries. It doesn't take direct negative and question forms. I don't have to. She doesn't have to. Do I have to? Does she have to? And finally, it can combine with modal verbs. You will have to. He might have to. Right then, let's have a look at usage, starting with should. The first use of should is expressing an opinion or giving or asking for advice. Let's look at some examples. I believe nurses should have higher salaries. You look tired. I think you should have some rest. He shouldn't make a rushed decision. Do you think we should phone her? What should I say when I speak to him? The second usage of should is expressing an expectation. For example, he should arrive any minute. He shouldn't be long now. He should have arrived by now. And the third usage of should is expressing a regret about a past action. For example, you should have been more careful. I shouldn't have said that. Ought to is a synonym for should. It generally sounds more formal than should and is less commonly used, particularly in the question form. So you could say, you ought to have some rest. He oughtn't to make a rushed decision. I oughtn't to have said that. But it would be uncommon to say, ought we to phone her? Also, should, but not ought to, is used to express a small possibility. For example, if I should ever go back there, I will not make the same mistake again. Or, should you need any further assistance, do not hesitate to contact me. This is a common formula in formal writing. Right then, let's move on to must. The first usage is expressing a necessity felt by the speaker. We use must for the present and future tenses. For example, he is very ill. You must call the doctor now. We must not lose the match tomorrow, or we will be out of the tournament. This is the best book I've ever read. You must read it too. You mustn't hesitate to call me if you need help. Looking at the second usage of must, it is expressing a prohibition, once again in the present or future tenses. You must not use your mobile devices during takeoff. You must not be late for your interview tomorrow. And the third usage of must is an assumption in the present or past, in affirmative sentences only. For example, you must be tired after your very long day. He must have read my letter, because he repeated exactly what I'd written. Okay, let's have a look at have to. Have to expresses an external obligation in positive sentences. For example, you have to make an appointment to see him. She has failed her exam. She has to retake it. The second usage is expressing a necessity or obligation in the past. He was very ill. We had to call the doctor immediately. He was very busy. I had to make an appointment to see him. Finally, have to removes a necessity or an obligation in all the tenses, present, past, and future. He feels much better now. You don't have to call a doctor. I didn't have to make an appointment to see him. She has passed her exam. She won't have to retake it. So, as you can see, the main difference between must and have to is that must is a necessity felt by the speaker, whereas have to is an external obligation or rule. If this difference is not relevant, you can use must and have to interchangeably in positive sentences. However, be careful that in the negative, must not is still a necessity or an obligation not to do something. It's a prohibition, whereas don't have to removes the necessity or obligation. Also note that as must has no past tense, both obligation and necessity are expressed with had to in the past. You may have also come across the expression need to. Need to is a softer alternative to both must and have to. For example, you could say, I must finish this tonight because I want to take tomorrow off. Or, I need to finish this tonight because I want to take tomorrow off. Or, I have to finish this tonight. My deadline is tomorrow. In a softer tone, you could say, I need to finish this tonight. My deadline is tomorrow. Need to is an ordinary verb and takes auxiliaries. Do I need to finish this tonight? I don't need to finish this tonight. You may also come across the modal verb need. It is not a very common modal verb and can only be used in negative sentences and questions. So you may hear, instead of do I need to finish this, need I finish this? Or instead of I don't need to finish this, you may hear I needn't finish this. Right, let's do a gap-filling exercise now. Have you had your exam results? Yes, I've failed biology. I will retake it in August. I will have to retake it in August. Oh, sorry. You be pretty upset. You must be pretty upset. What about physics? I've passed that, but with a very low mark. My teacher thinks I retake that too. My teacher thinks I should retake that too. Do you think you retake it? Do you think you should retake it? No, I strongly feel that I focus on biology. I strongly feel that I must focus on biology. I fail that one. I mustn't fail that one. I get at least a B in biology to study medicine at university. I have to get at least a B in biology to study medicine at university. Did you fail biology last year as well? No, I passed it last year. I have passed it this year too. I should have passed it this year too. I just didn't study enough. You have studied enough. You always do. You must have studied enough. You always do. The exam have been difficult. The exam must have been difficult. No, the exam wasn't difficult. I was too tired. I have partied the night before. I shouldn't have partied the night before. I have studied instead. I should have studied instead. Oh, I see. Well, you're good at biology. You be able to pass it in August. You should be able to pass it in August. I hope so. I will find a summer job as well. My dad insists. I will have to find a summer job as well. Did you have a summer job last year? No, I didn't work last summer. I didn't have to work last summer. I had some savings then. What happened to your savings? I buy a car because my flat was too far from the college. I had to buy a car. Well, good luck with your retake. You let me know how it went. You must let me know how it went. Right, that's the end of this lesson. I hope you've enjoyed it. As you know, you can now go to our website anglolink.com for further explanations and exercises. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you in our next video. Bye now.
In today's lesson, we're going to look at 3 modal verbs: will, shall, and would.